Bienvenidos a un programa más de la serie. Hoy en adelante, la Peña en el Café El Sol de United Community Center ofrece comida auténtica y música tradicional. También el abogado en inmigración José Rivas habla de los últimos memorándums del presidente Obama en inmigración y el profesor John Stewig habla sobre los planes para el Centro de Literatura Infantil. Además de deleitar a la comunidad con su cocina auténtica, el Café El Sol, ubicado en UCC, también ofrece entretenimiento o durante sus noches de peña, en donde artistas locales y regionales presentan música latina tradicional.
Pues la peña es una tradición que hemos estado adquiriendo con la gente. Básicamente lo que hacemos es una noche donde mostramos un poquito de la gastronomía latina y tenemos música en vivo de diferentes géneros. Puede ser mariachi, puede ser salsa, como el día de hoy tenemos música andina. Entonces es eso, un lugar donde la gente viene a degustar algunos platillos que elaboramos. Obviamente hacemos mayor énfasis en el fish fry, porque Café del Sol tiene un pescado frito bastante bueno y está catalogado como uno de los mejores en Milwaukee area. Entonces, básicamente es una excusa más, como todo buen latino, una excusa más para irnos de fiesta.
La misión de la Peña es difundir el arte latino en diferentes formas, teátrico, musical, etc. Entonces, la Peña también trae las costumbres antiguas latinas, donde había un lugar donde la gente viene a tener tertulias, charlas y a conocer o visitar con gente con quienes ellos conocen. Entonces, es un bastión de música, es un bastión social también, la Peña en el centro de la Comunidad Unida, UCC. Inti Raymi inicialmente se empezó a hacer música en Lake Geneva, Wisconsin. Tenemos 21 años trabajando, difundiendo y promoviendo la música andina, el cual es muy importante en este lado del continente. La música andina que Inti Raymi trae es muy tradicional, comparado a otros grupos que tocan el mismo género. Inti Raymi se ha concentrado bastante en traer la música en su forma original, tradicional, sin ningunos arreglos extraordinarios o instrumentos modernos. Entonces, eso es la misión de Inti Raymi, de traer la música tal como nuestros abuelos la tocaron.
Bueno, el interés, yo vengo de familia de músicos, ¿no? Desde niño, desde bebé, yo creo que se empecé con toda la inclinación al folclore. Y bueno, nuestros instrumentos, yo me especializo en instrumentos de viento. Los fabrico, empecé a investigar todo esto, no solamente a la fabricación, sino la investigación de cada uno de ellos, ¿no? Y nuestro es amplia la familia de los instrumentos andinos de viento, especialmente como los podemos ver aquí o como el que tengo en mi mano. Esto se llama Siku pertenece a la familia de lo que dije, ¿no? Los Siku, y son de diferentes tamaños y los cuales tienen diferentes nombres. Este instrumento me dio grandes satisfacciones. Lo he creado y he ganado un premio con él en Córdoba, en Argentina, en el año 93. Y lo he denominado clariquena. Este está construido de una caña bambú, de un mate, que le llamamos calabaza. Y también tiene otra caña que familia, es un bambú diferente. Y esta lengüeta hace que pueda tener un sonido, ¿no?
Creo yo que son pocos los lugares que realmente le dan promoción a este tipo de música. Creo yo que es importantísimo que se mantenga la raíz de lo que es comunidades latinas, sus tradiciones. Hace falta lugares donde se promueva este tipo de ambiente cultural. Es bien importante en Estados Unidos en general. Creo yo que sería una de las cosas más en la cual las comunidades latinas podrían tener presencia en los Estados Unidos.
Pues bien, yo felicito a la Peña que hagan este tipo de actividades. Aplaudo a las peñas a los lugares que promueven este tipo de actividad, porque realmente necesitamos esto para enseñar a la gente y mostrar nuestra cultura en todo aspecto, ¿no? De todos los países, lo rico que tenemos de cultura. Esto es un poco de lo que podemos mostrar quizás de algo tan grande que se puede hacer.
Las comunidades latinas están vivas, están siempre la presencia, no importa de los países que sean, siempre el latino es muy arraigado a sus tradiciones. Y es importante que aquí en el United Community Center la gente que viene vea que no tan solo aquí en Milwaukee, sino en las ciudades de Estados Unidos hay presencia cultural. Es muy importante que se mantenga, que los jóvenes y la gente que viene a este centro se empape de estas tradiciones y de esta riqueza cultural que tenemos en Latinoamérica.
Bueno, la peña se lleva a cabo todos los días viernes. Comenzamos, el buffet comienza a las 5 de la tarde, consta de dos platos fuertes, 2 sides, o arroz, frijoles, ensalada, 2 tipos de pescado. Tiene un costo de $11.95 por persona y es todo lo que quieran comer. El pescado frito está incluido también. La música más o menos comienza a las 6 y media de la tarde y nos pueden echar un telefonazo, una llamada al 414-649-2801.
Es un orgullo para nosotros estar aquí y que acepten nuestra música y que nos abran las puertas de ese modo. Y de ese modo nos hacen cumplir con la misión que tenemos, la misión de Inti Raymi. Hay un correo electrónico, es intiraymi@aol.com.
Es muy duro estar lejos de tu país, ¿no? Es duro. A la vez es muy padre porque todo el mundo venimos a Estados Unidos con el sueño de crecer y de hacer algo. Pero yo creo que más que nada hacemos este tipo de reuniones o de excusas, como te decía, para no olvidarnos de nuestros orígenes, para no olvidar las relaciones que tenemos entre nosotros con la cultura nuestra, y tratamos de variar un poquito cada semana, como te decía, y es traer algo para mostrarle a la gente pues lo que hacemos en nuestro país.
Muchas gracias. Thank you.
Un memorándum del presidente Obama está ofreciendo beneficios a familiares de aquellos que están sirviendo en la Armada. El abogado en inmigración, Joseph Rivas, nos habla sobre este asunto. Attorney Rivas, welcome to Adelante.
Thank you and good evening.
Attorney Rivas, there is this presidential memo that is giving some benefits to some relatives of people serving in the Army.
If I may, it's really not a substantive benefit, it's a procedural benefit, but in many ways it is extremely helpful. In order for someone to emigrate to the United States, there's always two phases. There is a petition that is filed on behalf of the foreign national, and after that petition is approved, the foreign national then applies for the visa. Unfortunately, many foreign nationals that are in the United States in an undocumented status and did not have a petition filed for them before April 30, 2001, will have to go back to their country to get the visa. I'm very pleased that this initiative has been initiated for members of our armed forces. These armed forces members file a petition, then the visa application is sent to the consulate in Ciudad Juarez. Unfortunately, when a foreign national goes to Ciudad Juarez for the visa interview, another law comes into the picture, and that law relates to anybody in the United States unlawfully for more than 1 year. Whenever that person leaves the United States, they become subject to a 10-year bar, even if they're going to a visa interview to get their visa to emigrate to the United States. Now, for some of those beneficiaries who are citizens of, who are spouses of U.S. citizens, they're eligible to apply for a waiver. I like to call it a pardon, so people understand that they have to be pardoned. It doesn't always get approved. The Immigration Service has the option to approve this pardon, and if they don't, then the foreign national has to stay in their country for 10 years. So this initiative, which I like, allows the foreign national to process the application here. Technically, what happens is the Immigration Service accords them what is called a parole status. That's immigration talk. But in essence, that means once you have been granted parole status, you are eligible to file for your application here in the United States rather than going to the consulate outside of the country. And you don't have to pay that $1,000 fine under the 245 law. So that's why I like this initiative, and it's well received, I'm sure, by those who can qualify for it.
That's just wonderful. There is this a constant concern among the Latino community, you know, that has the most undocumented cases in among the percentages and numbers of immigrants in this country. Yes. What families need to be aware of regarding this memo? You know, what they need. Sometimes these initiatives are there, and people have no idea that this is happening, and this is an opportunity for them.
Well, if the petition is filed by a member of the armed forces, I believe the Immigration Service will know that the beneficiary is eligible for their status. And I would believe they would send instructions to the foreign national in that regard. But you cannot assume that all the time. Yeah. And so I always find that it is best for any person, if they're trying to determine whether they're eligible for any right under the immigration law, to talk to a professional and to talk to an attorney who is seasoned and understands the immigration law. I have been practicing immigration law for over 25 years, and I would say half of my cases come to me from another attorney. And so I would advise these folks, when you're not sure, consult with a professional, primarily an immigration attorney. Don't go to these notarios. You know, they just want to sell you something that you want to hear. I often have to tell my clients something they don't want to hear. They may not be eligible, but at least I will tell them the truth.
And what will be the relatives that we can think will benefit from this presidential memo?
Well, this is for the customary family-based petitions, and not all relatives qualify. A petitioner can file for his parents or for his children, brothers and sisters, and their spouses. They cannot apply for their uncles or their aunts and nephews and nieces. So it's the standard family relationship that is defined in the immigration laws.
Well, those are small good news, I will call it, yes, because we are expecting good news for around 10 million of people. But if there are some thousands that are going to be receiving such a benefit, like not having to go to Ciudad Juarez, not having to go through this pardon of maybe 10 years abroad the country before getting reunited with their families, is such great news for us.
Well, I just wanted to conclude that, and I'm sure the consulate in Ciudad Juarez would appreciate this because they have a heavy volume of cases. And if any of the cases can be taken away and cases that are straightforward that can be handled within the United States, I'm sure they would appreciate that too.
That these things are being easy for many, not just the people, the immigrants and their relatives, but also for the whole system.
Exactly.
Attorney Rivas, how can people reach your office, and what kind of services do you provide?
Well, our law firm only does immigration only, and we have at least 6 attorneys, and we have professional staff, and we do family and employment-based immigration practice. They can reach our website at www.hmrvisa.com, or they can call our office at 414-962-7440. We have staff that are bilingual, and they answer all intake calls in either language, Spanish or English.
Attorney Rivas, thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
Dr. John Stewig es un reconocido escritor de revistas y libros infantiles. Ha publicado más de 40 artículos en periódicos. Sus áreas de enseñanza se encuentran en metodología en las escuelas públicas. Profesor Stewig es el director del Centro para la Literatura Infantil en Carthage College y él está con nosotros para hablarnos de los planes de este centro que difunde la diversidad en la literatura. Professor Stewig, thank you very much for being with us. Because we have had you in the past, we need to remember what are the purposes of the center, so for our audience to know how the Center for Children's Literature is.
Our purpose is to bring books and children together with adults who will help them understand the pleasures that occur in interacting with books and the information that children can access through children's books. We build on a foundation of about 25,000 recent children's books. We're unique in that we are a lending library, and so on that foundation of children's books, we offer public programming for teachers, librarians, and parents.
One of the great things that the center is doing is connecting with the Latino community in the area. Can you talk about that?
I'd be happy to do that because we have always felt that it was important for the center to reach out to many different communities. And the Hispanic community is one of the ones we have been interested in connecting with. Recently, we brought Dr. Harlan Hansen, who with his wife, Ruth, has had extensive experience working with Hispanic Latino groups in Florida. And we are developing a relationship with the Edward Bain School of Languages and the Arts, which is a Kenosha public school, serving a child population of about 54% Hispanic, focused toward parents. Typically our audience is more frequently teachers and librarians, but this time we wanted to reach out to parents. We are working to get a Hispanic author to come in and actually work with children. Publishers have been very aware for a number of years of the need for Spanish-speaking children to see various elements of their culture in books. And as a step beyond that, we're currently working on securing an author and or an illustrator. I'm not sure just how that's going to develop, but at any rate, this resource person would come into the school and actually work with children. Not come in simply to talk to them about being an author, and we've done a good bit of that. But to stay long enough to say, okay, now you're going to have a chance to write, or you're going to have a chance to illustrate, or maybe both. So those are a few of the ways in which we have reached out to Spanish-speaking cultures.
One of the wonderful things that the center is doing is to have these materials that are very appropriate for kids who have a native language and a second language. And Latinos, I know, are taking advantage of that. Why should you encourage Latinos to attend and visit the center?
I think it might be helpful to point out there are three different kinds of books that might be of a special interest to Spanish-speaking children. There are a variety of books that originated in English but are so popular that the publishers have had them translated. Curious George. Now, Curious George has nothing innately connected to Spanish culture, but there are books like that, and the language is in Spanish. There's a second kind of book that is duo language. Then there is the third category when the language is exclusively in Spanish. And so we feel that range can speak to a number of different children. Some fluent in English, some less fluent in English, but there are books for children at all different levels.
Can you talk about the services that the center is providing?
The Center for Children's Literature is located in Hedberg Library on the Carthage campus. The reason is the accessibility factor. The library is open almost 100 hours a week. And on the college website, which is simply carthage.edu, it lists what those hours are. They do vary sometimes between summer and semester. Our center book collection, about 25,000 recent children's books, is located just inside the front door. And those books are available for browsing any of the many, many hours the library is open. If people wish to check out books, they are certainly welcome to do that. We loan our materials. For people within the community, we have a friends group. For a nominal fee, membership allows people to check out any of the books that are there because we are a circulating collection. This also allows people who are interested in our work of bringing children and teachers together to get advance notice about programs.
Because we care about the center, we like to know how is the center doing financially and how can people in our audience join to those who help and volunteer for the center.
Becoming a member of the Friends Group is one of the ways that people in the community can do that. When we do an event, there is always need for people to volunteer. There are many things that volunteers can do in addition to contributing financially. We are very lucky that Carthage College has been generous in their support. We don't have a designated book budget. However, one of the other things is if someone would like to give money to buy a book in honor of someone, in memory of someone, you could give a gift to buy a book for somebody's happy birthday.
That's wonderful. Professor Stewig, thank you very much for joining us. Al final de un programa más, por favor déjenos saber sus comentarios al teléfono 297-7544 o escríbanos a nuestro correo electrónico adelante@matc.edu. Visítenos en nuestro sitio del internet en mptv.org y en Facebook. Sintonícenos en canal 10.1 o 36.2 todos los martes a las 6:30 de la tarde. Y en canal 36.1 los miércoles a las 12:30 de la medianoche y los domingos a las 5:30 de la tarde. Soy Patricia Gomez, muy buenas noches.